Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. You know the dance by now. As you can see, we're live. We're in the studio, which means you've got to get involved. Yes, you. So get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think about the latest United stories we'll be covering. We're going to be talking about Rabiot, who's a new name that's come into the fold now. Could be a new target for Manchester United. We're going to be talking about Christian Eriksen as well. That's a rumour that's been doing the rounds for a little while now. There could be a little bit of movement there, and it looks like a solid offer maybe on the cards. And also, of course, Frenkie de Jong. Where would we be without a Frenkie de Jong story? It's the main talking point of Manchester United at the minute. We know that Barcelona had their meeting last night. There's some sort of, intrigue there as to, are they willing to sell? Do they need to sell? Will he come here? So we're going to get into all that as well. So make sure you are getting involved in the chat and the comments. The first thing I want to talk about, and I want to talk about this briefly, because the only reason I'm going to mention it is because it's all over social media, it's all over the papers, and it'd be slightly remiss of me not to at least acknowledge it. But I'll be honest, I'm quite bored of the topic, and you may have guessed what it is. Been talking about this for 11 years now, this lad. It's Paul Pogba. The Pogumentary, as I think it's called, is out now. It's out. I think it was out last night. Was it out last night? Was that the thing? Or is it today it's out? I think today, sorry, it's out today. But there's loads of reports on quotes from it and what he said, and loads of shots being fired at Mourinho, at Manchester United. He's obviously very unhappy the way he was treated, Paul Pogba. Listen, Paul Pogba has left Manchester United. You can have a debate on whether he was a success, whether he was good enough, all that stuff. That's another one. I'm just a little bit bored now of talking about Paul Pogba. Maka did a great video looking at his time at United and where it ultimately went wrong. That's up on the channel. If you want to go and look at that, you can do. If you want to go and watch that documentary, it's up to you. If you want to go and read the various articles, reports, quotes about Paul Pogba, fill your boots. But I'm just done with it, man. Seriously, do you know what? We just need to move on. It didn't work out. He's moved on, and, more power to him. But the whole, this happened and then this happened, and I felt upset that I got a 300 grand contract offer, and then Jose Mourinho was messaging my agent because I was away in Miami. I just think it just doesn't do anything for me. I'm just not that bothered. I'd rather sit down and watch the Brian Robson documentary again, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it's up to you guys. You want to go and check that out. Loads of quotes doing the rounds, and you can check them out as well. But I'm just pretty much done with it because I've spent over a decade talking about Mr. Pogba. Ruben C says, "Good morning, Jay. Come on, get me depressed. I'm ready." Right? Hopefully I won't do that. Chris Ney says, "I prefer Eriksen." Yep. Verratti is going to want, someone's talking about Verratti there, but someone's saying else. He was going to want, Daniel Monk said he's going to want ridiculous wages. Should we get into the Christian Eriksen one? Because he's one that sort of seems to have moved to the forefront over the last few days. We know that, obviously, I think his contract at Brentford is about to run out or runs out it's either ran out or is about to run out. I think it runs out in a couple of weeks, actually. So he's available on a free transfer. He sort of put himself massively in the shop window, didn't he, with that spell at Brentford. It was sort of almost, not quite, but almost like Jesse Lingard at West Ham levels of having a spell that just impresses everyone. Brentford, I think he played 11 games for Brentford, or he's there for 11 games, and he won 7 of them. I think he got 4 assists and 1 goal, if memory serves. So he's done very well. And everyone's looking at him going, okay, we didn't even know if he was going to be fit enough because of what happened in the Euros to play in the Premier League. There's question marks, obviously, about, his heart after the cardiac arrest he had. But those questions have more or less been answered. He's fitted, with a pacemaker, played, very well for Brentford, like I've said. So people looking at him going, you know what? Christian Eriksen, on a free transfer, his wages aren't astronomical. He's got Premier League experience. He's a very creative, very talented player. He's got a great attitude. Why not? And Manchester United are one of the clubs that are looking at him, and we've been looking at him for a little while now, and it looks like there could be a bit of movement there. Sam Pilger, who is a friend of the channel, was on the channel yesterday. He did a great interview with Angelina Kelly and Kirsty Schultz. Go and check that out after this video. Don't check it out now. Wait till this video's finished. Thank you. He's written for The Athletic, for 442. He's written loads of books on Manchester United. He's a good mix of a journalist and he's a United fan, so you get the best of both worlds. He tweeted earlier today, United waiting for a response from Christian Eriksen, made contract offer to him. They see him as a great player who would enhance the squad, but are aware he has other options. So there's a slight sort of fly in the ointment there in the sense that other clubs are after him. I think Brentford would love to keep hold of him. I think Spurs are in for him as well, and maybe 1 or 2 others. I mean, he has obviously got history with Spurs, so that might be difficult. Is that a positive, though. You might look at it and go, listen, I was at Spurs. I got sort of faded out under Jose Mourinho, didn't really get any games. And then I got sold to Inter Milan. So maybe he's not that enamoured of Spurs. Maybe he's just like, well, been there, done that. I want to go somewhere else. Obviously, Spurs have Champions League football, though. But that might not be the be-all and end-all. There were reports that he is willing to come to a club without Champions League football. So, I mean, that helps our cause because we ain't got it. So maybe he would come to Manchester United. We'll have to wait and see with that one. I think it's a case of maybe us sort of try to convince him. Try to say, look, this is what you're going to be doing here. Because what he won't want to do is come to Manchester United and just sit on the bench at a club that are not in the Champions League and just play in the Europa League for us. So we're going to have to convince him somewhat. And a lot may depend on what happens with De Jong. I think the sort of the common thinking is that it's not Eriksen or De Jong, it's trying to get them both. So even if we do get Frenkie de Jong, I'll get to him in a minute, that shouldn't mean the end of our pursuit of Christian Eriksen. But he may look at it and go, well, if you've got Frenkie de Jong, am I going to get a lot of game time? Games are coming thick and fast around the next season. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. James Paul, in the Zoom chat says, Paddock merch request, I want a J Motty wig. You can get one of them, just shaving all your hair off. Miles says, Tielemans or Eriksen? I heard who is it that might be in for Tielemans? Was it Arsenal? Yeah, Arsenal were looking at Yuri Tielemans. I'll be honest, right? I know I'm going to lose the room here, but I'm not a big fan of Yuri Tielemans. I'm not just saying this because he might be going to Arsenal. I think he's a decent player. I don't think he's that great, and I don't think he's what United need. I think he's a decent player on a decent side. He might do well if he goes to Arsenal, but I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see with that one. Abhinav Verma says, yeah, he will get games. Come on, man, Eriksen. Yeah, he will. He should do anyway. I think that, with the amount of games we've got, the fact that we have done this thing, haven't we, in the past, where we just run players in at the ground. You look at Bruno Fernandes. Towards the end of the season, it's happened a few times where he runs out of steam massively. He does. His form almost sometimes just falls off a cliff because he's goosed. Because he plays like almost every minute of every game. Yet we keep playing him because we're so reliant on him. Now, we might have some other options. I don't know what's going to happen with Donny van der Beek. There's reports that, obviously because Erik ten Hag knows him, he may get a better chance at Manchester United. If you throw Christian Eriksen into the mix as well, then you've got two other options you can turn to. Also, if we make some more signings, then maybe we won't just be so reliant on Bruno Fernandes. Don't forget as well, we're actually weaker midfield-wise now, at this moment in time, than we were at the end of last season. We've lost Paul Pogba. We've lost Nemanja Matic. Mata, okay, he's not really necessarily a midfielder, but we've lost another player that can fit in sort of an attacking midfield role, if you want to call it that. So we've lost quite a few players. Yes, James Garner's come back from loan, and he may well end up staying with the club, especially if, as has been reported, Dean Henderson goes on loan to Nottingham Forest. That could mean that they're not going to, well, they won't be able to take James Garner on loan. We'll have to wait and see, though, because there's lots of ifs and buts on that one. But it just seems that, to finish sixth, obviously have issues around the midfield area, and then lose the likes of Mata, Matic, and Pogba, and not do anything about it would be, that would be amazing, to be honest with you. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Another player that we're in for, not just concrete offers going in here, there, and everywhere, on Eriksen, but we've got another one in Adrien Rabiot. Now, this has come from Calcio Mercato, and they say United have taken concrete steps, it's like the buzzword today, isn't it, to sign Adrien Rabiot in €15 million deal. United's priority is to strengthen the midfield this summer, and Adrien Rabiot is being linked with a move. Now, Calcio Mercato did a look at this, and they say that Juve are in for him. Juve are in for him. He'll either be playing at Juve, obviously, or Paris Saint-Germain, or a Premier League club next season. And then it says that United have been taking steps towards a deal. Now, obviously, at a price like that, €15 million for a player who play, what is he, 27, I want to say? Yep, 27, French international, played 45 games last season. I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer, that, isn't it, if you can get him for that. I mean, players of that quality for that price just rarely happens. It's an area, as I've just mentioned, we need strengthening in. So that would make a lot of sense. Some of these signings would make a lot of sense to me. Eriksen makes sense. Rabiot makes sense. But that's what worries me, because United very rarely do deals that make sense. Get involved in the comments. Let's have Paul Lucas is having none of it. No to Rabiot, just no. Ed Martin says, Ethan Galbraith, Garner and Garnacho, class of 22. Haha. Ethan Galbraith, Dave Pritt, love you saying that. He absolutely adores that lad. Michael Maxwell says, leave Rabiot. No, not a big fan. Andrew A says, Rabiot does not make sense. Even at that price? No, not having it. People not having it. I think James Wood says, I thought Rabiot has an attitude problem. Someone else saying there, I think there's a bit of a Neves debate. A couple of people saying Ruben Neves. Alex Garcia saying Rabiot circus to replace the Pogba one. Bit of some people not enamoured with the whole sort of stuff that goes on around Adrian Rabiot. Not necessarily him himself and the way he plays, but the sort of the circus, if you want to call it that. Would it be replacing one circus with Pogba with another one Rabiot? Possibly. We'll see what happens with that one. I mean, maybe there's a reason there that you're looking at 15 million euros. Get involved in the chat anyway and let us know what your suggestions would be. A couple of people saying Ruben Neves. John Stir 187, Rabiot is the incredible sulk 2.0. Matthew Lambert says Rabiot equals Ramos all over again. A lot of people say about that Sergio Ramos situation, don't they? Do you remember when we were in for Ramos? We were in for him. And then he signed a new deal, bumper paid deal at Real Madrid. Is this another case of that? Dan Pezza says Milinkovic-Savic. Well, he says Milinkovic David all day long, but I think he means Milinkovic-Savic all day long. Yeah, he's corrected himself. Yeah, it looked like it was going to happen a few years ago, just before the 2018 World Cup. We were heavily linked with Milinkovic-Savic, and I spoke to Bozan Djordjic at the time. He was raving about him, but he had a bit of an underwhelming World Cup, and I know that's not the be all and end all, but he was a bit underwhelming, and then the rumours sort of petered out, it died down, and it just never happened. We never end up really looking like getting him, and I don't know if that is still a target now. I have the impression with Milinkovic-Savic that it's almost done. Corey Pittman says, I'm gutted we weren't in for the running for Bissouma. Yeah, a lot of people have said that about Yves Bissouma. I never saw us getting him. We had a few reports saying that, United are looking at him, but there never felt like there was anything credible. It felt more fan-led for me, that. It felt like a lot of fans looked at him and thought, here's a guy who's a CDM, he plays at Brighton, you can get him relatively cheap. It makes sense. He's a good player in the Premier League. I've never been a massive fan of Bissouma. Yes, he can stick a foot in, and I like that, and we all like that. He's a very, those are the types of players that people like to watch. I just feel he can be a bit sloppy at times in possession, and I don't know if that's the answer. And, yes, you do want a DM, and having no DM is going to be an issue. I'd rather have him than no one, but I think there's better options available. I just don't think he's the one for me. Scotty D says Bissouma is not United class. Yeah, I mean, you can argue what is United class in a minute, but I agree with that point. I don't think Bissouma is the one. Should we talk about De Jong? De Jong deal will happen. This has been reported by a few people now, and I think I mentioned Sam Pilger. I think he was saying something similar on this front as well. He tweeted earlier saying Man United and Barcelona continue to believe a deal will ultimately happen for Frenkie de Jong, but there remains a gap in their valuation, and United are determined to agree a reasonable price, all about the transfer fee. Now, yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? The way that sort of this has gone out, it's been like, well, will he come? Is he going to come here? Now, the thing with that is, Erik ten Hag knows him. There's obviously been a conversation there. I just feel if he was adamant he would never leave, it'd be dead in the water. I feel if they were adamant they wouldn't sell him, it wouldn't. I don't think we'd have got this far. I think there has to be some sort of movement there. There has to be some indication that the player is open to moving, and there has to be an indication that the club are willing to sell him. Otherwise, why have we spent 2 weeks now chasing him? Why has it not just been like, this is not happening at all? Forget it. Move on. It definitely looks like Barcelona are interested in selling him. We know that they've got other targets that they want to bring in. And if that is the case, then he's one of their saleable assets. So, I don't know. I just feel like... it does seem like it's got that almost inevitability to it. Dare I say that? That might be, famous last words. But it does feel like there's something happening there. You don't want United to get our pants pulled down, but you do want Manchester United to get this deal over the line, because we need to start acting pretty soon. It's a bit frustrating when you see other clubs making moves. You see the likes of Arsenal, you see the likes of Spurs. Obviously, City and Liverpool are just miles away from us at the moment, but even they've got their major transfers done, and we're still kicking around sort of trying to get this one done. Don't want us to get our pants pulled down, but you do want us to get some deals done. Udayara Krishnan says Frenkie de Jong for 90 million, nonsense player. I don't think it's going to be that expensive. I think you're looking at around. I think Barca want around, is it 80 million? United are looking at more like 60 million. There may be some sort of way of doing it where it's like, you're paying up front free and there's a load of add-ons. We did that with Jadon Sancho, didn't we? I think it was 73 million, but I think it was like, wasn't it like 40 million and then 10 million, 10 million, 10 million or whatever. Maybe that could be the way forward for this deal. I'm not so sure. But if United don't get this deal done within a week or two, we have to start looking elsewhere. We can't just spend all summer chasing Frenkie de Jong to not get him, especially when we seem to have this trait at Manchester United of just doing one transfer deal at a time. Very rarely recently, over the last few years, you've seen Manchester United get 3 or 4 deals done at the same time. Where you got that deal working on that deal. Do you remember a couple of summers ago, it was literally like, we were working on, I think there was the Wan-Bissaka one, then the Maguire one, then the Dan James one. It was one after the other. Then you had the other window where you were working on the Cavani one, Palestri, Diallo. I think they all arrived at a similar time, but it didn't feel like all those deals were being done at the same time. I think they were sort of spaced out in terms of the negotiations and stuff. This time around, there was Van der Beek, of course, as well in that mix, and that deal was done relatively quickly. But yeah, with this one, it is getting to the point now where you feel it's dragging on a little bit. It would be great to see some movement. B. Hughes says, let Barca waste their wage bill again. Kevin Shields says, sounds like United just need to pay the money for De Jong. Forget Frenkie and get Vitinha and Sangare instead, says Jim's 91. Ramea said, if Barcelona had to sell and United had to buy, it had to happen by now. So what is going on then? Are they just wasting the time? Is that what it is? Is it not going to happen? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Ruthless Sausage says, the Schlong ain't happening. That's a new nickname for him there. Other people saying, Chris, the only one, says, agreed, pay 90 million for Frenkie. Listen, whether it's 89, whatever, we'll have to wait and see what happens. It would be great to get some transfer business done. Give Erik ten Hag a fighting chance going up against the likes. Well, it's not even like we're going up against the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool, is it really? We're going up against the likes of Spurs and Arsenal and, teams like that. And they're all making moves and doing deals. And we're still kicking around, selling loads of players, releasing loads of players. Oh, well, not selling loads of players, but releasing loads of players and not getting any deals coming in. Ramaya says, J-Man Legend, for taking my comment. Yes, thank you. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Hopefully, there'll be some movement soon. If there is, if we do make any signings, we will go live straight away. We will go, right, we're live. Here's what's happened. We've got Frenkie de Jong, or we've got Adrian Rabiot, or we've got Christian Eriksen. Any of those deals happen, we will give you a shout and let you know about them straight away. So make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Can we have a link in the chat? A subscribe link, please. Make sure you're hitting that. I'm going to put a link in the chat. So hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. We've got loads of good videos up at the moment as well. We've got an interview with Sam Pilger, who's written for The Athletic and 442. He spoke to Angelina Kelly and Kirsty Schultz, so make sure you go and check that out. He's talking about De Jong and a few other signings that we could be making over the summer. We've also got McCullough, if you care about Paul Pogba. He's had a look at Paul Pogba's career at Manchester United and where it went wrong and what went wrong and all that sort of jazz as well. So make sure you're checking that out. And we're back later on as well. We've got the brew with myself and Stephen Howson. Andy Tate's going to be here as well. So it's going to be myself, Steve, and Dave Scott on the brew, and Joe and Andy Tate are going to be sitting down for a chat as well. So we've got 2 videos coming out later today. So make sure you're checking those out as well. I'm Jay Motty. This has been the Paper Talk. Click the link in the chat to subscribe, and thanks for watching.